Hey, what's up, brothers and sisters? It's me, Verse of the Day. I hope you've been well and I hope you've been blessed. This week we have a lot to talk about. I spent the entire weekend studying the Bible, and I have a bunch of topics for us to go over this week. But since it's Monday, I'm going to start off with a topic that we've discussed before and a topic we will definitely discuss again, and that is sin and being born again. So let's get started. In 1 John chapter 3 verses 9 through 10, John writes, "Whoever has been born of God does not sin, for his seed remains in him, and he cannot sin, because he has been born of God. In this the children of God and the children of the devil are manifest. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is he who does not love his brother." In 1 John chapter 5 verses 1 and 2, John writes, "Whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and everyone who loves him who begot also loves him who is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments." In 1 John chapter 5 verse 18, John writes, "We know that whoever is born of God does not sin, but he who has been born of God keeps himself, and the wicked one does not touch him." In 1 John chapter 2 verses 1 through 2, John writes, "My little children, these things I write to you so that you may not sin. And if anyone sins, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. And he himself is the propitiation for our sins, and not only for ours, but for the whole world." In Romans chapter 6 verses 1 through 2, Paul writes, "What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Certainly not. How shall we who died to sin live any longer in it?" In Romans chapter 6 verse 4, Paul writes, "Therefore we were buried with him through baptism into death, that just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life." In Romans 6 verses 12 through 13, Paul writes, "Therefore do not let sin reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in its lusts. And do not present your members as instruments of unrighteousness to sin, but present yourselves to God as being alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to God." Even though our bodies are prone to sin, we can overcome sin with the power of Jesus Christ through prayer, Bible study, and fellowship. God bless you all.